Hello everyone, Tommy Girl with you once again for another episode of Let's Play Riven, sequel to Myst. In the last episode, we went to another age, and we are imprisoned in this room until we want to leave, and it looks like go back to Riven. But we got our prison book back, it looks like, and a journal of some kind. And yet, this episode we're going to go over the journal. Now I'm going to do what I did last time there was a journal. I'm going to read it in a supplemental video that you can click on the video to get right now, and I'll have a link down below as well for the supplemental video. If you want to hear the entire reading, you can go ahead and click on that video. If you don't, go ahead and keep watching this video, and it will skip ahead where I will sum up some of the main points of this journal here. And in my opinion, this is one of the longer ones. Either that or it feels long because the handwriting is a little tricky, and there are a lot of pages to flip with the way it's set up. Alright, so I'll see you guys in a second. Alright, now that you've decided to either watch the supplemental video or have decided not to, let us continue forward. Let me do as brief of a summary as I can of this particular journal. It is a very long journal. In fact, I think it is the longest of the Riven games. So bear with me if it takes a little while, but I'm going to try my best to hit the main points, not go on too long, and then move on. So, this is a journal written by Catherine, Atris's wife, and Cirrus and Akinar's mother from Myst. She was actually lured here to Riven by her sons. I don't think we know the details of exactly how they did that, but this is Catherine's home world, and so she was lured here, and she actually lived in the same sort of cage area we did, but she ended up, I guess you could look at it as being rescued. She was hit one of those darts that we're so well acquainted with now, but she was taken by the moiety, who she later found out basically regarded her as a god figure. We'll talk about why that is in a second. I want to talk about this note here in the middle, if it will stop doing that double flip glitch it likes to do occasionally. But we did find out Catherine is currently in a prison. The person who gave us our book is Neela, and the person who interrupted us in the beginning of the game, the person who saved us from the guy who took our book. Remember, there was a guy who took our book, and then a person who hit him with a dart and took our prison book. That was one of the moiety. And so she's giving us this journal to give us information, and in order to rescue her, we will have to get into Gen's office. And once we capture Gen and find her, then she wants us to signal Atris, but not until then. So that gives us an idea of what we're supposed to do. What we need to do is capture Gen and free Catherine, which is not unlike our original goals. It's just our original goals were to get the prison book back and free Catherine. Well, we needed to get the prison book back so we could capture Gen. So really it's similar things, but we've made progress toward that goal of capturing Gen by getting that book back. So, now let's talk a little bit about this journal. There is a lot about backstory about who Catherine is. She's from Riven. This is her home world, and kind of her interaction with being here. It turns out that when Atris and Catherine trapped Gen here on Riven, a lot of the locals saw that and took it as Atris being a god and Gen being a false god, and developed a religion around it. Now, this isn't all the Rivenese. This is just a group. The moiety decided this. And since Catherine went with Atris, she's sort of a god as well, by association, I suppose. She's transcended into deity. And this is something she actually didn't know until they kind of performed a play for her. And she stated that everything was very exaggerated and not very close to the actual facts. But she spends a lot of time talking about how strange it is that she's back on Riven, how different it looks from when she was originally here, since it's falling apart. It used to be one big island or one big place. It doesn't state it specifically, but I assumed it meant a big island. But it's been broken apart into 5 pieces. It talks about she goes to the surface at some point with them, and she talks a lot about these these sort of experiences she has. One difference between Catherine's writing and, say, Gen and Atris, she has a very poetic, more of a spiritual sort of feel about her. And so her writing, I mean, her handwriting is very different and difficult to read, but just her writing style has a different feel, I would say. So anyway, it continues to talk about her excursions. There's a lot about that, but nothing we really need to know. As you can see, here's the 4 islands we've been to. You can see them all connected here. Then at one point, Catherine discovers that Gen is making and writing books, which is something that we know from Gen's journals and the evidence surrounding that. We've seen a little bit of his process, and we've seen his failures, like the burnt book in the oven. But she finds out that really they didn't trap him here on Riven, they just delayed him, which very much upsets her. Also, they talk about something called the Starfisher, which is something Atris talked about in his journal, and so did Gen, I believe, in his journal. And there's this drawing of the telescope, which we can recognize from Temple Island, which it says in this journal that telescope is used to look into the Starfisher, which would mean that the Starfisher must be in that area. And so that makes a lot of sense, because we saw that iron floor when we first got here. That's actually covering up the Starfisher. Here's a code right here. We don't really know what it's for. It's 32435. And it says there's a stop here, and this is for something to have to do with the telescope. So we can check that out at some point. In fact, that might be where we go next, just to check that out and see what we can do with that, because that's one of the biggest pieces of information here in this journal, besides, plot and story and things like that. Let's see, what else? And this is more about the Starfisher. There's a lot of flipping to get to various things. At some point, I know that they decide to steal some of Gen's old used books. In fact, the moiety had confiscated one that Gen considered failed, and they decide to use it, and they talk about how Gen ends up using those domes, those domes you've been seeing, the rotating domes and the big gold dome. Apparently all that has to do with powering Gen's books. And she talks about how they find the code to get in, which is something, we have the code, but we don't know all the numbers to it. They figured out how to get in, but they didn't know how to power it. So I'm thinking that could be a clue that we need to figure out how to power the domes as well. Unless they're already powered, maybe the fact that they were rotating meant they already were. We really don't know. But that's something that could be a hint towards something. Here's some illustrations of the age that Catherine wrote. This age we're in right now. It's actually named Tay, and was actually written by Catherine. We find in this book that Catherine can write ages just like Gen and Atris can. We don't really know if she can create books and do all those things, but she can write ages. So write and link to ages, I should say. So she also creates something that helps link properly, that isn't nearly as cumbersome as Gen's domes. And we saw that on when we linked here, the sort of crystal. See the crystal up there? That's the thing she created. In fact, she wrote it into the Sage so they could use it to power the journals. They actually snuck into the domes to power the Age the first time, and before they created these materials to use that. So I think that covers the main things. And hopefully it wasn't too long of a synopsis. Try to keep it at a minimum, but while hitting the major points in case you don't feel like listening to the whole journal entry. So here we are, back... Wait, is this... Oh, it's... I don't think... Oh, turn that on. Do we want to go this way? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, okay. caves in this game always really creep me out for some reason. I really don't know why. Now, I do have a confession to make. That synopsis I did about Catherine's journal, that's actually the second time I've done that synopsis. I tried to do it right after reading her journal, and I think I was just really, like, I talked so much from reading the journal that I was talking extremely fast for some reason, and just over-talking, and that is a tendency of mine sometimes, but more so. And I was like, no, we're gonna do that again. I don't really like that. Am I lost already? No, I want to go, yeah, I want to go this way. So we're actually gonna head to the Temple Island because I want to check out the telescope. That was the biggest info we got from Catherine's journal. And also, there's a huge part of that island we haven't really explored because we couldn't figure out how to get there. And the thing is, when we first got to Riven, we were trying to look for our prison book, and we had no reason to believe the person who took our prison book, which we now know is one of the moiety. Why am I going this way? I don't know. Is one of the moiety. We were trying to chase that person with, and we failed at that, as you can clearly see. So, we had no real reason to try to heavily explore that island because it wasn't really plausible that they went that way. But now that we have our book back and we've explored pretty much all the other islands substantially, and now that we have information about the telescope, why not go back there? I say we check it out. It seems like the best of plans. Ready, go. Taken this ride, but we went the other way, so it's kind of a little different coming this way, actually. Different experience a little bit. I like it. The sound effects in this game are so epic. Like, everything you do just feels really authoritative. With authority. Okay, here we are. We haven't been here in quite some time. We actually really haven't been back here at all since the earlier episodes. Wait, I don't think we left this door shut. Oh, goodness. Oh. Oh, that's creepy. That's a really creepy hologram that I don't like it. Does that mean that somebody's in here? How did they... Okay, how did they do that? Well, let's try to... Okay, I remember what this place really creeped me out too. What is with all the creepy caves in this episode? Why? All the caves have like really creepy music too, which makes it even worse. Nervous. Alright. Now, obviously, oh my gosh, wait. So there was that spider chair in this door that came down, and it had like a microphone and everything. That could be where it could broadcast to that thing over there. So that means, what if somebody's in there? Okay. That guy could have been Gen, which would make sense because we've been seeing his face around. If we run it again, we have our prison book. Okay. Alright. Unless somebody's hiding in here. No, I think either it was like some kind of recording, or they're gone. Okay. But it kind of makes me nervous. Maybe Gen's on this island. But, like I said, we are equipped. Hey, hey there. I have this linking book. Don't you want it? Don't you want a piece of this linking book? It's not a trap or anything. Alright, so let's go to the telescope, as Catherine called it. Oh, I gotta step forward one more time. Alright. Yeah, see how you can see here how this is like a metal floor? According to the journal, the metal floor was is covering up the starfisher. So that's interesting. So it's like some kind of pool of stars underneath there, as it was described. Also, I didn't mention this in my synopsis. These daggers were actually written into the age by Catherine. I don't really know how she got a hold of a Riven book, or when or how she did. If this was a long time ago, this probably would have been quite some time ago, not recently. I don't think she could have gotten a hold of a Riven book. But maybe, but somehow she got a hold of and wrote these into the age. And kind of as a sign of, the rebels and things. And apparently Gen has been trying to use them as a sign of he's mad. He's been trying to take credit for those. So anyway, here's the telescope. Now, I remember there was a stop. It said there was a yeah, there's a stop there, it said. So that must mean, but this still doesn't do anything. Now, in the journal picture, there was a pipe, yeah, that went into like a mountain, which must be this. Whoa. Is it just me, or does that look like a body right there? Like right here, do you see that? That is really weird. And I said this in an earlier episode. One fact I do know about this game is there are hidden faces and like human shapes and things to make you feel like you're being watched. I don't know where they all are, but like that could be an upside down. I mean, you could see that kind of reminds me of an upside down face, but if you're looking for something like that, I'm sure you can find that anywhere. But where they actually are, I really couldn't. There's only one area I know specifically where they are, and I'll point that out if I see them. Alright, so we got this manhole here. Well, there are 5 buttons, and Catherine's journal, I'll bring that up again. Let's go back to where the code was. Hopefully it won't take too long to flip there. One bad thing about this journal is it's very long, and so it takes a long time to flip pretty much anywhere. I think the reading of this took me a good half hour. But yes, here is the is 3, 2, 4, 3, 5. Okay, so let's look at what we could do. There's nothing else. There are 5 buttons, so maybe we have to do like this one. 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, so the other thing I can think of is maybe to label these 1 through 5, like left to right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. So once again, I'm going to look at it again just to make sure that I get it right. 3, 2, 4, 3, 5. So 3, 2, 4, 3, 5. Oh. Okay then. Can we look at that? No. Can we use the telescope? Alright, so if this is some kind of hole, like a window maybe, that means we should be able to see the star fissure through this. And we can look. It looks like stars. It looks like space. So, wow, that's really crazy. But there's nothing we can't... It seems like there should be controls to this. So my guess is, somewhere in this area, you can turn on the telescope. I really don't want to leave this open for anybody, because somebody could come through and, I don't know, do something bad. It just makes me nervous. But it looks like this thing, since there's a stop here, it looks like this thing can maybe zoom in. So maybe we can get a closer look at something down there, and maybe that's important somehow. Atris also mentioned in his journal that we could use the star fissure to signal him somehow, but we're still not completely clear on that, so we'll just leave that for now. Anyway, I think that's pretty much it for this episode. Whoa. Oh, that button looked different from far away for some reason. We've messed around with this rotating room some, and we really didn't get anywhere. these stars actually make some sense now, besides just having the sky. Maybe this is built here because the starfisher is on this island. But we do have like this door over here. Yep. And we can try to figure things out. We still don't have a key. I was hoping we'd find a key, but we'll play around on this island. There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way.